Hey, hello. So I am Dion and I am the creator of PolySynergy. And I made this video to show you how to create a AI agent that enriches company data for your business analysis, like competition analysis, or you want to know what type of companies there are in the region and how to approach them, and if they have open vacancies, all kind of stuff. You can make it, of course, exactly the way you want it. But the main reason that I'm making this example is because I get this question a lot, which is, how does PolySynergy differ from n8n? n8n, of course, everybody knows it and everybody thinks about it when they see blocks connected together and the creation of AI agents, so I get it. But I think my system differs fundamentally on many levels. Of course, to show that, I want to make something similar to what people do in n8n. And I think that will explain many of the differences already. The future vision of PolySynergy is completely different, like entirely. But that is not what I'm going to show you now. This is about how to make such an agentic setup and how it differs in the way you create things. So let's get into it. First, a little bit more about the end result that we are going to have. So the end result will be that we have a table. A table has all kinds of fields that has specific info about companies that you asked for by giving it a CSV file that has rows of company names and company websites. So, I accidentally swiped on my pad, which caused this reload. But so here you can see there's a list of 5 companies that I used in the test, and they are, you can see what industry they're from, what the company size is, what the ICP, this is the customer fit score. It's about how much this company suits your particular case. It has how does it come to that. It has buying signals. So if you click this, you can see a JSON that has all kinds of information about buying signals. You can make this as extensive as you want, as I already said, but this is generated based on the company name, and then the agent will do the online research for you and then store it in the database. That's what I'm going to show you now, how to do that from scratch. Nice. Every time I start recording a video, somebody outside thinks it's a good idea to do whatever in their garden with a loud machine or something. Anyway, I'm not going to be stopped by that because I think my microphone hopefully is, not picking it up too much. I don't know. But, so, as you can see, here is PolySynergy, and this is the projects list. This is my local setup, just my testing setup. I will create a new project, and I will call that project Market Investigation, which sounds like something that is appropriate. So, okay, there we go, market investigation. But what I want to do is create a schedule here, because I want to run this workflow, if we want to call it a workflow. I don't really like that word, but I want to call it every, say, 5 minutes. So eventually we can iterate over a list of companies and then have that data enriched, so to speak. So company investigation sounds like a good name to me. Investigation. And here I can say how often it should run. So let's say that every 10 minutes or 5 minutes. What did I say? I don't even remember. Let's make it 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, the schedule can run. It will start from now. And then here we start. So those are the 2 blocks. This is how the schedule, where the schedule entry point is, if you will. And before I'm going to take care of the whole scheduling logics, I will just create the agent. So the first thing that I want to do is give it a model. So before I continue, I usually go with the OpenAI model for demos, but as you can see, there are a lot of models. Grok, of course, Azure, Anthropic, Hugging Face gives you a lot of options for models, can be useful. Olama, if you want to go local, and so on. I will add more later, but this is fine for now. And then you can connect it here. This is a bug, by the way. Don't look there. You can connect it here to the model. And what I can do is give it an API key. I already added the API key, but here you can have here you can add secrets. You know, if you do the plus here and then the key name and the value, and then store it, and then you can just assign the secret by clicking this plus button here, so you get a new node, and then connect it to API key. That would help, but usually I try to keep the amount of nodes as low as I can. So I can also do this, sec, and then open AI API key, which is of course the exact same as you just did for the key, and then it turns into a label because it's recognizing that that you're using a secret. And I'm also going to change the model because I noticed that the default value, GPT-5 Mini isn't that great with tool calling. And we're going to do tool calling. So this one here is pretty good already, actually. So I'm just going with 04 Mini because a lot of the quality of the data depends on the web search anyway. So now we have an agent, and this agent here is not able to do much yet. So here is the prompt input, and eventually we will give it the company name and maybe the website as well, and then give it some order to say, hey, look up this company online and all that stuff. We're also going to give it extensive instructions as well, of course. But first I'm going to give it one tool, because this is actually a pretty good tool already, which is the DuckDuckGo search tool. So it can go online and then look for information. And it's not just using DuckDuckGo. It's falling back to all kinds of different search engines. So it's a pretty complete search mechanism, I have to say. So here you have the tools output, and then you can connect it to the agent. So this is already able to do some pretty extensive research, but we want to have it predictable. And what we want is to be able to store this data. So I already set up this list of things that I want to know about a company. And for this, we are going to have to make a data model. So how can we make a data model? We have sections here and section fields. I'm not going to completely go into the depths of how to make sections and whatever that is, but here we can essentially model our data. So I'm going to first make fields, and I'm going to make sure that they are fields like, I don't know what that's another test of mine. Let's just keep it here. We're going to need a company name. So first I'm going to say, hey, company name as a plain text field, and then make sure that it's also reflected here. So company name. This is all fine, you know, we don't have to go this far, but just say, hey, created fields, and then go for website. Let's make the website field as well. The website could be URL field, by the way, which is much better. So website. Which was a text field. And the last one, recommended action. So plain text, recommended action. Recommended action is also something that we want. So yes, this looks pretty good. So now we created the fields, and those fields will be used to create an actual table where we can store the data. So the agent can, you know, store everything. We also call that table investigation. Why not? And then investigation. Here we can optionally describe some details, but that's fine for now. And now we have the investigation section, but it does not have any fields assigned to it yet. So then we can go here, and then we can, you know, set up the whole form layout, which is important for, so how it works is you can create a whole layout like this. So again, I'm going to keep it relatively simple in this case, because in this particular case, the form layout isn't that important. What is important is that we have the right data in the table. And I will just start here with company name, just in the same order as the and recommended action. So this seems like a comprehensive list of a market research information tool. Let's save it. So since we created the section now, we can go here to this button, the left bottom corner, to open up this tab here, which contains this investigation list. So if you do add record now, then you can see the form that we just created, right? So here's the form, but we're not going to use the form. We are going to use the agent to fill up the form. To fill up the table, right? So to do that, I am going to have to tell my agent what the output will be, because I don't want to just talk to this agent. I want it to give me predictable output, so I can know what JSON structure it's going to give me. And since we created this section here, I have some tools available to me to, give it the predictable format. And that would be section to Pydantic model, because this here simply gives me a model that the agent can use. So I'm also going to say, hey, this is a response model configuration that I'm going to need. So agent response model settings, I'm going to put that in between. And then I'm going to say, hey, this is an output schema. And then I'm going to say this, I'm going to attach this to the response model settings. To be fair, this is a little confusing because I'm putting it on output schema, but I also have a response model here. Probably have to clarify that a little bit later on. But this is the output schema that we're after. And now I can just close those settings here and here and here. And what I can also do now is make sure that the answer finally is formatted into a section record. So that's what I'm going to do now. And this is quite simple because the section record, it's all integrated. What I want to do first is make sure that the output is being treated as a JSON. So I have a variable JSON here, and then I will just put it to value. And now I'm going to need a UUID that is predictable. And I'm going to make sure that I'm going to base a UUID on the company name. So the company name will translate to the exact same UUID every time. So if I'm going to later on enrich the data of the company, then I have a way to select the proper ID, right? To know what the ID should be. So that's where we have the deterministic UUID node for. And what we also are going to do is a JSON query, so I can select the company name from the results. So here we have a JSON input as a string or as a dictionary. That doesn't really matter in this case. And then I can say company name. So because we had it here somewhere, right? I don't even remember where it is. Oh, it's here. Company name. Give that result as the input of the deterministic UUID. So now we have a predictable UUID here. And I'm going to do an upsert to this section. And here I can choose the investigation section. And then, of course, the record ID is going to need this. See? So record ID. And then the field data, which is simply the same data as we get here. So you can either do it like this, drag that line from all the way from here to there. I like it a lot better if lines don't cross other nodes, so I use a warp gate for that. Right mouse button on the output, and then connect it here. Now, before I continue, I also need to configure my agent a little bit better because now it does not have any instructions. I did give it a a model based on this section here. But for the best results, I better just instruct it as good as I can, which I also do with the help of Cloud Code. So I'm just going to copy in this this information here, and I'm actually going to give it here the JSON structure again, but then with an example of how it should fill it. Then the results will be much better. In many cases, you cannot be explicit enough. That's actually what you should do. It's all about, you know, look. It should look like this. That's what you're going to have to say. Some research guidelines, search strategy. Be very, very clear. And also say what it should do when it does not have the information. That would also be nice. So here we have the description. I'm also going to give it a role. So the role says you are a sales, it's sales intelligence researcher, B2B, sales intelligence researcher. Yeah. So this hopefully is already working. That would be nice if it's a one shot, one kill. I don't know. So, not going to go with a prompt. Yeah, let's go with a prompt node temporarily. But eventually for the schedule, I'm not going to use the prompt node. Now I will. Because now I can just, if I attach the prompt node to it, I can do this. And now I can go here and just instruct the agent from this chat window. Let's see. Can you do a thorough, how do you say that? Something like this? No. Thorough review. I don't know how to spell thorough, you know? I'm Dutch. Sorry. Review, the agent will know. Review of the company. What is, I'm from Eindhoven, so what is a well-known company from Eindhoven? Well, I'm actually from Veldhoven, which is right next to Eindhoven. That's, of course, ASML, for who doesn't know it. But Eindhoven, that's the city that I'm born in. That's Philips. So, Philips from the Netherlands. Let's see if it's already working. No, it's not. So let's see, section ID is required. So I missed something here. The section ID is required because I think somewhere along those lines, I forgot to, see? So I need to make sure that this node here can know what section it has to make the model for. Let's see if it works now. But before I continue, I do want to give it a bit more information in the logging output. So I just put the success output of this section upsert node to the log info, and then I'm going to log an error as well if this node, you know, comes up with an error, so we can immediately see it here. Let's get the prompt again. Ooh, and like this, and see if it's going to do what we are expecting it to do. So you can see the agent glowing now, which means that it's doing its thing. You can also see the DuckDuckGo tool light up every now and then. It means that the agent is using the search capacities through the DuckDuckGo system. And eventually I'm expecting it to pass along the resulting data from here to the variable JSON, and then do the whole thing here, and then we should see a record with everything that it found for the Philips company. But there we go. So it did reach this node here. To be honest, I don't know why it's red. I should look into that. But if everything works out fine, we can see now that we have a record here about Philips. Very nice. Company size 10,000 plus. Yeah, I believe it's even a lot bigger than that, but sure. We don't know about funding, which of course makes a lot of sense because Philips is, you know, has been in the business for a long time. So what is this? Buying signals, and there we go. 0 job openings. That sounds a little bit off We have recent news. Philips reports first quarter. Yeah. Quite nice. So key people, of course, it should contain, well, the CEO and the CFO. Yeah, this seems to be quite all right. Now what I'm going to show you is how to make this more dynamic, or at least how to make it in such a way that it will do this every, what did we say, 5 minutes, but then also do it every 5 minutes based on a certain type of list. Okay, so I just made a very simple list just for the example. Of course, this list can contain much more. Let's see, where did I leave it? Here. Let me drag it in so you can see it as well. Right, just a couple of companies. This is a CSV file formatted in numbers, which is always weird. But this is a CSV file. And I am going to use the CSV file here. So first I'm going to the file manager, create a new folder, say CSV companies. There's already a suggestion. And now I'm just going to drag in this CSV file, like this one's CSV, right? Yes, CSV. So there we go. And now I'm going to use a file selection node, so I can, get the file into the flow, so to speak. So I select the file selection node, and I select this file here, and then I assign it. And now it's in this node here. And this will output a list, but since we have only one file here, I do want to get, what was it again? List, I'm going to get the first item, for example, from a list. So if I do this, and then the input list, then it will find what the first item, which there's only one item, so I know what I can expect. Let's see if this works. So if I do a play node like this, then I can test if this is giving me the expected output, which I can see here now. See, so this is the result, which is the actual immediate result for this file that I'm going to use in another node, which is a download node, because I need to download this file from the file manager before I can process it. So let's just make some room here and then do download file like this. And then I'm just going to give the file path here. And then I'm going to do a CSV to a list, because eventually I want to make this into a list. Let's make even more space. We will tidy this up later on, because that's also an important part of how the system works. Eventually you just want to have a very clear flow. So here we have a CSV string. And if everything works correctly now, we will see that this CSV to list gave us a list of I have no idea what I'm looking at. What is that? Aha, I think I do know what I'm looking at, because I forgot to add a heading in my CSV file. So now it doesn't really know how to format the CSV file, which is not that great. So let's just do again by deleting this guy here and re-uploading this CSV file like this. And now it should already be coupled to it, because I didn't change the name. Let's see if it can do it now. I hope so. CSV to list. Nope, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. I think I know. So if you look at the delimiter, it's not the right one. Yes, that's probably it. Let's see. So now I changed the delimiter. Let's try it again. See if it gives me a nice list now. I hope so. It does. Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. It did enter or add an empty one at the end, but yeah, so be it. This is fine. So this is a JSON with 2 keys and 2 values, which is what I'm expecting. Nice. So I'm just going to leave this in because this is the way it works in real life. You know, it's not always as smooth as you might think. Sometimes you're just struggling to parse the CSV. So anyway, here we have the way to take the CSV with the 4 values. And with those values, we can take a small selection of those CSVs, or I mean, of those items from the CSV. So we are going to do a slice list. And with slice list, I can say, hey, give me the item 3 to 4, for example. I'm going to make the iterations or the steps small because the list is very small, but also because I recommend keeping it small if you're going to do big internet searches and you're going to have your schedule run every 5 minutes. Just give your workflow a little bit of time to complete before it starts the new one. It's also better for your token limits. So anyway, here's the input list. And the input list is going to need a start index and an end index. That is actually interesting, and I'm going to cheat a little bit now because I already made a service that can handle this for me, and I'm just going to import this service and use it. So I'm just going to press this button here, which is, you know, this is the import button, and I can click this and I have the schedule iterator. So let's say continue. It has no execution hash. I don't know. That sounds like a bug to me. We'll fix it at some point. But now I have a new service, which is here, which is the schedule iterator. And what this thing essentially does is every time the schedule runs, I want to have an iteration number that I can use to make the selection on the list. That's really what it is. So it will go from 0 to 1 to 2 and so on. And this is just a piece of setup in itself. I can quickly go through it because it's actually, it might look a little bit more complicated than it really is. It's not that hard. This one here is getting a key iteration, and then this, it's outputting a string. So I have to first convert it to an integer, and then I will simply do +1. So if it's 0, then it will go to 1. And then from 1, it will go to 2, because this is stored. This is stored in between runs. And then eventually, this is apparently also, yeah, this is also outputting a string. So I'm going to first have to convert it. But before I get to this part here, I will just explain what happens here, because the first run, the whole key iteration will not exist. It will not exist in the system. So I will just then it will say, hey, I don't have that key. So it will follow the error path, or the false path as I call it, and then make sure that it's set with 0. And once it's set with 0, it will jump back to this one. And when it jumps back to this one, it will follow this path again, and then finally get to this point here where it's 1. So it will start with 1. This is the first iteration will be 1, and then I want to have 1 minus 1, because this will be the from section of the list. Wait, let me just draw that, because that will make it a lot clearer. I will just draw it in a minute. So this will be 0 then, and this one will be, and then I will do 0 times this times 2, and I do 1 times 2. So I will have 0, 2. The second run, this will be 2. Then it will be 1 times 2, which will be 2. And this will be 2 times 2, which will be 4. So if you can imagine, say we have a list of 4 items like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, then it will start by taking those 2, and then in the second run it will take those 2. Well, if that's a little abstract to you, that doesn't matter, because we have this service here that does all the heavy lifting for you. It simply says, hey, just connect it to the flow, and then you say from the start index. I see a small mistake that I made there as a bug, so I just quickly I know I kept this thing in place so I can, well, Never mind. Start index, end index, which will be 0 to 4, 2, 4. That's how it will start. So I need to go from this CSV list to the iterator, and I'm just going to group this because it will make it a lot easier for me to see what's going on. So this is just for me getting the CSV file into a list, and I don't need to know more. So I just group it, do it like this, and then go from here, from the flow now, to this select file group. So let me just call it select file. And then let's just call it, or I mean, let's just continue it from here. So we have the file and it will start, yes. And then the only thing that we need now is to give this one the input list, which is coming, of course, from this group. So what I can do is this, for example, but as I usually do, again, is use the warp gate, create warp gate, just do this. Makes it a little bit more cleaner in my opinion. And I do like it clean in the end, because otherwise you get a whole mess of nodes, and I don't like that. So now we have the slice of the list. Let's make a little bit more space here. And now I'm going to loop over the list. So loop, list loop, like this. Again, I'm going to give it an input list like this. And now it will have 2 items there. And in one run, I just want to process 2 items. I do know now that we have company name in this list. Company name, and we did have the website as well. So what I can do is create a prompt from that. So let's make a variable string like this, that I can give a value, do create, I'm not going to try and spell that word again, research on this company, and then I will say company like this, and just assign this item here 2 values, and I'll just change this to company name and website. That should do the trick, actually. So what it will do now is replace company name and website, because that's in the dictionary, right? And then I'm simply going to plug this to the prompt input, and from now on it will simply go and have that as a prompt. Let's see if this works. So first what I want to do is make sure that the iterations key is not set. And I can do that by reset iteration. So we see 2 buttons here, reset iterations and get current iteration. Now I know that I had another flow that's in the same project that is also using the iteration key, but apparently it's cleared. So because I checked, does it exist? Oh yes, because it's also tied to the flow, to the project. Yeah, so it doesn't exist for this project, which I need. Now, if you're wondering how come that I have those 2 buttons here, that is because this service here inside of it has 2 play buttons. And once you have that and give this a name, then it will execute through this button whatever is connected to those play buttons. So you can give your flow some easy interaction. So if I'm going to push the test button for the whole schedule here, then it should be processing 2 new companies. Let's see. Oh, I've been moving this around, so we can clean this up as well. But let's first see if it's going to work like we are expecting. I hope it does, but you never know. So it's searching now. Searching for the internet. Through the internet. And then now this here should get a new record of the first item in the list. And then it will continue to go on and look for the second item. So somehow I forgot to record the ending of this video. I was editing the video and then I found out, hey, where is the ending? So let me just summarize it, because we were at the end and I was telling you that it is running, it's doing the iteration. So I cleaned the flow up a little bit meanwhile, which is not too exciting. I just made sure that this is grouped and give it some, some information. But this is how you can make a comprehensive search agent that enriches company data in a meaningful way. You can, of course, make this tailor-made for your business. I made one to look for companies in the region that are using Kubernetes, for example. And then if they are using Kubernetes, who to contact, how did you know that it's using Kubernetes? It's all, it's all in the information. It can be extremely useful finding new clients, for example. But I hope I could show you now that how this differs. First of all, how does this differ from the tools that you might already know, like n8n, because that one is quite well known, or Zapier. I think that's obvious. But maybe even Make. This one is in a completely different category in terms of the fine-grained control that you get, but also in terms of the fact that you don't have to leave the IDE, if let's call this an IDE, or the application, once. That is not to say that it cannot integrate with other tools, because of course n8n is much more known for taking Airtable and taking files from different file services and then connecting everything together. You can definitely do that with PolySynergy as well, and in some cases that's extremely useful. But in a case like this, I like it that it's completely integrated. The future vision of PolySynergy is quite different, but I will get into that another time. For now, I just want to thank you for watching this video, because it got quite long. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting, and I hope I've introduced you into this new way of building AI agents. Thank you for watching again, and please subscribe to this video. And if you want to leave a comment or share the video, you will help me tremendously, because it will help the visibility along a lot. Thank you, and see you next time.